Hi, this is David here at Highland Campervans and welcome to the handover video for this Elddis 115. So we aim to show you around the vehicle, give you location access to the primary functions of the vehicle and help you get set ready for your first adventure out. Now I do recommend that you maybe bookmark this video for future reference or maybe download it to your device, but of course if you're out and about and something's not quite right or you're not too sure, then please do reach out to us here at Highland Campervans. We are happy to help you out. So without further ado, let's get started with this video and I hope you find it useful. Located now at the back of your vehicle, you will find your water fill. So you need your key to unlock it, turn and remove the cap, and this will open up the freshwater fill. Then take your freshwater hose line, like so, just push it in, like that, and then start your fill. Now you have the indicator on the inside on the habit control panel to let you know what the water status is, but when you're filling, if you see water pulling out the top there, that will obviously let you know that you are full. Once you're done, obviously retract the hose, replace your cap, and then don't forget to lock your cap to make sure it's all nice and safe. Located down on the passenger side of your van, you're going to find this locker, which is the LPG gas locker, indicated by the sticker just here. The locker is secured with two locks, which you can use your habitation key to undo. Open up the locker, and inside you will find storage for your two gas bottles. There is just a single connector, which can be removed from one bottle to be put to the next bottle when one runs dry. On top of the bottles, you will find a valve to turn the gas on and off, and it is recommended that when you're driving around the van that you do turn the gas off at the bottle, just for safety purposes as it were. And that is your gas storage locker. Located at the rear of your van, you're going to find this access port here, which is for your chemical toilet. You will need your key to unlock it. Once it's unlocked, press the two buttons and that there's your chemical toilet. To access the chemical toilet, just retract it like so. You've got wheels on the bottom and you've got a trolley handle on top, so you can transport it on site. Once you arrive at the chemical toilet disposal, open up the flap, undo the cap, and then it's a case of tipping and press the release button to empty the toilet itself. Once you're done, it's recommended that you flush the toilet out at least twice, and then once you're ready, put a bit of water in, normally to about this level just here. Add your chosen chemical. Now that's a pod or liquid. If it's liquids, then the top cap here also acts as a measuring cap for your liquid. Important to note that in Scotland you should use either pink or green. Most campsites in Scotland will not accept blue fluid anymore because it's not septic tank friendly. So definitely a recommendation from Highland Campervans is to use pink or green fluid. Once you're done, ready to put the cassette back in, slide the cassette wheels first all the way in until it clicks, like so. Give it a wee tug just to make sure that it is nicely and secure, and then go and close the flap back up again. It's worth noting when you go to take the cassette unit out, if it won't retract, it's most likely that the toilet flap is open on the inside, and we'll cover that in another part of this video. Don't forget, once you're done, to lock up your toilet cassette unit. So down on the driver's side of your vehicle, you're going to find this access panel here. You'll need the habitation key to open it up. Once you do, inside you will find the tray for the leisure battery, and then you'll also find your electrical hookup point located just inside of here. So for electrical hookup, you'll need your hookup cable. Open the flap, line it up with a little notch at the bottom here, and it's just a case of sliding the cable on until it locks into position, and then connect your cable at the other end. The recommendation is that you don't travel with a live cable when you're hooking your van up. So when you arrive on site, hook the van first and then connect to your hookup point as designated by your campsite. Once you've done that, it's really recommended that you check the trip switch on that point. Make sure that that is working correctly. Don't leave your van to be the last line of defense in a case of electrical short. When you are leaving your site or leaving your hookup point, it's a case of reversing the process again to make sure you don't travel a live cable. Unplug from your source, and then once you get back to the van, just pull the flap back and just gently retract the cable like so. If you want to secure the cable while you are at the site, there is a little hook hap just inside there, so it means you can shut this and the cable can freely move through the bottom there, as it were. Definitely would recommend that you do that at all points. I wouldn't leave hook up with this door open just for security and in case you get a quick shower. Obviously, once you're all finished, don't forget to lock up the unit, secure the door, and that is you. Located on the driver's side at the rear of the vehicle, you're going to see this blue tap just here. This is the drain tap for the fresh water tank. Now the tap top is clearly indicated as closed or open, and when you are ready to drain your tank down for winter purposes or whatever it may be, it's a case of just rotating the flap and the water will drain out, as it were, and just allow the water to drain until it stops coming out. Don't forget, as part of your winter drain down, that you do need to drain the boiler, as well as obviously flushing the taps out, and we'll discuss those in other points of this video. Located on the passenger side of the vehicle, just in front of the rear wheel, you're going to see this grey tap. Now this grey tap is the drain valve for your waste tank. Your waste tank is connected to the sinks of the vehicle, so the kitchen sink and the bathroom sink, as well as the shower area too. So to drain the tank, it's just a case of opening the tap till it says open just here, and then once you're done, you just rotate the clip round and then put it into the closed position. So don't forget that when you're draining your waste tank, you should do it at areas designated for wastewater or grey water. Part of your winter drain down, you do obviously want to make sure that you open this up to allow any water in the tank to flush out. And it's recommended, once this is run dry, is maybe take the vehicle for a quick 5-minute drive just to slosh out the last bit of water that's stuck in the tank. And then leave this valve open just to make sure any moisture also escapes through your winter drain down. And that is the waste tank. So to get under the bonnet of your Elddis, you need to open the passenger door, and just at the end of the dashboard, you want to find the bonnet release. We're going to give that a wee pull, and that will action the release. So come around to the front. So get the bonnet off the safety latch. What you want to do is put your hand roughly in the middle, run it up, and then you'll find this safety release just here. Once you've got the bonnet open, the bonnet stay runs across this part here, and then locates in the red tag just up to underneath the bonnet. Make sure you push it to the left just to secure the bonnet so it doesn't come down when you're working underneath. So locations of your auxiliaries: just on the driver's side you have the screen wash fill, then tucked over to the side is the coolant expansion tank, next to that is the brake reservoir, then hiding a little bit lower down you have your oil dipstick, oil reservoir fill here on the top of the engine block. Moving further along, you have control ports just here for jump starting the vehicle. So it can happen with winter laydown, the battery might get a little bit too weak and you may need to give the van a little jump start. So to do that, you don't connect directly to the battery under the driver's floor. You do it with the jumper points inside the bonnet. This point here is the negative terminal, and hiding just down here is the positive terminal for jump starting the vehicle battery. The positive terminal has a little flap like so when it's not being used, and that is under the bonnet. So located on the passenger side, just by the passenger door, is this wee flap just here, and hiding behind that flap there is your diesel fill and your AdBlue fill point, just located here in the blue cap. So to do the diesel fill, you just need to put the driver's key in, give that a rotation, take the cap off, and the cap can hang on the little hook just hiding here. Now with AdBlue, there is a notification on the dashboard for when the vehicle needs AdBlue. You normally get your first notification at 1500 miles. That's your first indication that you need to put a little bit of a top up into your AdBlue tank. So to do that, you just undo the cap, pour in the AdBlue, and that is all you need to do. Now I do recommend, as part of a servicing on the vehicle, that you ask your servicing partner to maybe check your AdBlue levels, check with service partners for that service if needed. Also located just by the passenger door, you are going to find this sticker just here. This here is the tyre sizes and the tyre pressures located in bar and in PSI for the operation of the vehicle. And that is your fuel fill, AdBlue and tyre pressures. Hiding just under the oven in the kitchen area, you're going to find this access port here, and in the access port here you're going to see these red taps. Now these red taps are the isolation taps for the fridge, for the cooker and for the oven side of things as well. Now, when you've arrived on site, you do obviously want to make sure that you've turned these taps on to allow the gas supply to flow through the various different devices. And you want to turn the taps till they're horizontal, and that will allow the gas to flow through the pipes and then connect to the various different devices. There is a little sticker located on the flap here just to remind you of which location the taps are. Now, again, recommended for travel, that if you are traveling in the van, just as a gas safety precaution, it's not a bad idea to switch the taps off as well as turn the gas bottle off, just to keep everything all nice and safe. But obviously, when you arrive on site, don't forget to switch the gas units on to use the gas supplies in your van. So, using a cooker inside your van, the first thing you want to do is make sure your gas supply is turned on, either at the bottle and the isolation taps, or a combination of the two. And it's just a case of getting the gas on and igniting. Don't forget that the electric igniter will only work when the 12 volt is on. So you do need to make sure that the habitation panel is switched on to allow power for the igniter switch. The igniter switch is located just on the very front panel of the oven just here. You've then got your gas rings, which is this one, and this one. This forward one here is for the electric hot plate, and that will only work on electric hookup. So once we picked our gas ring, we push the unit in, turn, so we can hear the gas, spark, hold the gas down for a few more moments to allow the thermocouple to warm up, and then release. And then you can make adjustments by just rotating the device left and right like so. Once you're done, just fully turn around till you've got the 0 at the very top. That will expunge the gas. It's not a bad thing to do, just to quickly listen to hear if you can still hear the gas coming through. No gas, we'll know that's definitely switched off. And then before closing the lid down, you want to make sure that these rings have gone all fully cold. Give it about 10 minutes or so before closing the ring down. You don't want to do any damage to the glass with heat coming from underneath, possibly breaking the glass itself. Now, you can remove these rings just here if you need to clean around, but I would recommend that you give it very gingerly when you take them in and out. Like so. There we go. And then you can clean around, and then you can put this back down again underneath the latches like so, and locate the rings back into position. And that is the cooker hob. So the oven and grill work in very much the same way as the hob rings, which you'll see in another part of this video. So this side here is for the grill. So again, just rotate it, push it in, and use the spark to ignite the grill, and you'll see the thermocouplings light up just under here. And then you just adjust the gas flow depending on how hot or cold you need the grill. And then for the oven, you'll see the light pan run down the bottom just there, and exactly the same fashion, you turn the oven on, hold the button down, and ignite the oven. Hold the button down for a few seconds again, just make sure everything's all light up and warmed up, release, and then obviously adjust your flow to how you want it to be. And then switch the oven off, just rotate everything back like the grill to the 12 o'clock position. And that there is the oven and grill. So in the kitchen area, you're going to come across your Dometic fridge, and your Dometic fridge has 3 energy sources. Up at the top there is off, electrical hookup, battery mode, then gas mode. Now, when you are off grid and you want to make sure the fridge is running, you will be using it in gas mode. Now, there are a couple of things for the gas mode. We've got the gas indicator over here. We've got the fridge temperature and the gas igniter. Now, we'll need these in just a moment. So, before you put the gas on, make sure that the supply is running for the gas. You turn the bottle on, and the isolate tap is also switched into the on position to allow the fridge to operate. So, how to start the fridge? We are going to hold this in, and we're going to press the igniter, and we're now going to watch the gauge on this side here. Now you see the gauge is moving across. We're going to keep holding things down until it's in the green. We can now let go of the sparker, and we're going to hold down the other button until we're satisfied that's nice and moved in the green, like so. We can now release. So this just here lets us know that the fridge is now operating in gas mode. Fridge is lit, and the fridge will start getting nice and cool. Once you've got everything all working how you want it to be, then this here just controls the temperature of the fridge. So this is maximum, and then minimum round to the side just there, as it were. And to turn the fridge off, all you need to do is just locate this to the 12 o'clock position. You'll notice here that if you're on gas, the gas will extinguish and the needle will move straight across to the white. And that is your fridge. So moving on to the taps in the kitchen area. So before you can use the tap, you do need to make sure that the 12-volt circuit is on, and you've also switched the water pump on, and that you do have an adequate freshwater supply in the tank. And it's just a case of opening the flap, moving the tap into the sink area, and then open the faucet zone, and that there is running the tap. Now, if you've got the hot water on, you can adjust the hot water by moving the tap to the left or back round to the right for the cold supply. Once you're done and you want to close the flap, you do need to make sure you move the tap out of the way to drop the flap down. Now, I do recommend that when you're traveling in the vehicle that you put the plug in the hole, just avoid any backwasher smells coming from your waste tank. Also, a good tip is once you've finished with the water side, is turn the water pump off just to save electric in your leisure battery. And that is the tap and sink. So located in the washroom, you're going to find your Thetford flush chemical toilet. So to use the toilet, it's very, very straightforward. You need to make sure that you open this access flap here. To do that, there's a lever at the bottom, which you pull, and that will then open the access flap to allow the toilet to be used. So once you have used the toilet, done your business, and you need to flush the toilet, it's a case of pressing the button at the top here to activate the flush. Now remember that the flush will only work when you've got the 12-volt system on in the van. If the system is off, then the flush system won't work. Once you're done and you finish flushing the toilet, it's a case you need to shut this flap down, move the lever across, that then is a flap closed, and that will just stop any smells from the waste tank coming back up into the bathroom area. Close the lid, and that is you all done with the toilet. Moving on to your whale heating system. So the whale heating system is located on the driver's side of the vehicle, just by the lounge seats near the window. So this is our location just here. So the system is very simplified to use. You have water heating and room heating. So to turn on the water heating, we just press the button to turn the system on, and we can see it's currently off. We then press the button to tell the system what energy source we're using. So first one here is electric mode 1. Electric mode 2, gas supply, and then gas and electric mix, and then finally gas electric mix on level 2. So for hookup, depending on what electric supply you're connected to, whether it is a 900 or 1800 watt, it'll be 1 or 2 for electric. If you're off grid, you're going to select the gas mode just here, and that will then turn the hot water system on. After about half an hour, the water will be nice and warm, ready to use, and that is very simple. You do have here a frost mode, so if it's going to be particularly cold outside, then you might want to put your heating system into frost mode just to protect the water tanks. Or if you're not too sure, not a bad practice just to drain the tanks just to be on the safe side. Once you finish with the water heater, you just need to switch it around to off, and that will turn the water heater off. So the heating system for the van is basically the same idea, but we're using the heating button. So you have off, you have gas and electric 2, like so, then electric 1, electric 2, electric 3 for boost mode, then gas mode, and around again. So in this case here, we're just going to pick gas for now. And then we use the plus and minus arrows to change the level or intensity of the heating that we want on board. Now, again, when there is a frost mode and night mode for the heating, so if we drop this right down, so we can highlight this one here, this is night mode for the heating. So it just keeps the heating tickled over the night if it's going to be particularly cold. And then we also have a frost mode as well if it's going to be very, very cold. It just lets a little bit of heating inside the van. Once you're done with the heating element itself, you just rotate this to the off position, and this now will tell us that the heating is off and the water is also off. And that there is the whale heating system. Next, we're going to make up the bed in your Elddis 115. It's a very straightforward process. Now, I have done a little bit of prep work just ahead before this video started. I have removed the scatter cushions. I've quickly put the bolsters to the side, and I've also pulled out the side bits and just tucked them down like so. And that's us now ready to start. So, all we need to do, lift the cushion up, lift the bed base up, and then pull it out until it stops retracting, lower it back down again. And then it's a case of then just sliding the cushions down like so, and then do the same on the opposite side. So to pull the opposite one out, again, lift, pull. Now what to do is bring this cushion just like so. There's a reason for that. Drop that one down there, push that one in, and it's a case of then pushing this cushion in the middle, like so. And then that is your bed. And then to put the bed away, we'll get a reversal process. So, easy thing to do, again, lift this cushion up, pull it forward a wee bit, bring this cushion on top, slide it back, and then flip the bolster cushion like so. And we can then just lift and push that back down. And we're going to do the same on this side. Flip the bolster up, slide the cushion back, lift, and then gently push this in. Return the bolster back to its position, and then it's a case of then putting your boards back into place. They just tuck down the side, like so. Now return your bolsters and your scatter cushions, and that there is the bed. Located under the sofa seat on the driver's side, you are going to find your whale boiler system. Now, this is important to note because this is part of your winter drain down procedure. So for draining down the van, obviously once you've emptied the fresh tank and your waste tank, you do need to empty the water that's still located in the boiler. The boiler itself normally holds around 10 litres on average of water as well, and that does need to be dumped out in order to protect the boiler during any heavy frost in winter laydown. So to do that, we are going to be looking at this yellow tap just located here on the top of the boiler. And it is very simple. We just rotate the tap, you'll hear the water drain out, and the water will dump through the bottom of the van. So once you're done, I would recommend just leaving the tap open as part of your winter drain down, just let any moisture escape out of the van. And then don't forget that when you refill the van for the next season, this is a common one. A lot of people forget to close the boiler valve. Do double check, make sure this valve is now in the shut position as indicated just here, before putting water in. If you are filling water and you notice a puddle appearing at the driver's side of the van, it's most likely because the boiler valve is still open. Just open up the bunk, get under access, and make sure the tap is shut. And that there is the whale release valve for the boiler. Located under the passenger side sofa seat, under the access flap, you're going to see this, which is your distribution and fuse board located just down here. So the distribution board has the trip switches located across here for the various different circuits. So the fridge circuit, water heater, boiler, and sockets inside the van. And then you have your main switch just here. So if you were winterizing the van and you didn't want any power circuits to be actively on, you can turn this one off here to switch the whole board off. And then you've got your isolator test just here. Now remember, when you are on electrical hookup, you should always test the isolator switch on the power source coming into the van. So that is the plug you connected your van to at the campsite or whichever power supply you're connected to. Don't make your distribution board the last line of defense. You should always check that first, make sure that is working. And then you can obviously come in and then check your isolator switch just here, make sure that is also operating as well, just to keep your van electronics all nice and safe. Located down the bottom here is all the various different fuses, where they're all labeled to let you know which circuit is which. And these are just standard blade fuses. They're not special camper van variants. You could just use any car type fuses. I would definitely recommend picking up a wee pack of fuses to travel with, just in case one of these fuses made trips and you've got a replacement fuse to put in. Now, obviously, when you're replacing the fuses, do isolate this system first. Don't pull the fuses out while this is live. Make sure this is switched off. Replace your fuse as necessary, reset the switch, and obviously check to make sure that everything is working correctly. Now, very important is when you're packing this bunk is don't put items over the top of this. As it says just here, obviously you need to make sure that air can move around this device because this can get a little bit warm when power is running through it. And that is the distribution and fuse board. Next up, we're going to have a wee look at the windows and blinds in your van. So, located at the top of the window, you're going to find the fly screen, and then you're going to find the blind itself. Now, they come down and they hook at the bottom just down here. So there's two little hooks, one here and another one higher up and higher up again. So what you do is you pull the blind down, hook it at the bottom for the fly screen, and then if you wanted the blind, You bring the blind down to the level you want and hook it on the rail, like so. Now, really important to note, don't let the blind fly away from you because it could damage the tension springs on the blind. Always retract it gently, keeping it fully under control. And then to open the windows, it's very simple. You just open the latches like so. And then you can push the window out, and then you can lock the window off with this device just here. Just rotate it to provide pressure to the window, and that will lock the window. Very important. Do not travel with the windows open. These are very lightweight perspex glass windows. They won't take any wind shear at all, and they will be ripped off the side of the van. So it's very important, as part of your setting off procedure, is do check to make sure all the window latches have been fully secured, like so. Give the windows a little push, make sure it's definitely locked into place before traveling. And that is the windows, blinds and fly screen. Just as you come inside your Elddis 115, you are going to see on the left-hand side this hab control panel. So the hab control panel controls the major functions inside of the vehicle, from power to the water pump to the warning light and to the tank heaters. So to switch everything on, the first thing we need to do is turn the master switch on. And then we can then turn lights, we can put the warning light on, we can put our water pump on just here, and if need be, we can switch our tank heater system on this circuit as well. Now you have another indicator up here. When it's static, it'll show you the current voltage inside the battery. And then we want to check the water supply. We hold the water switch down and the needle will then adjust to show us the water tank level, like so. So when the button's not pressed, battery. When the button's pressed, it shows us fresh water level inside the tank. Now, I would recommend that when you are leaving the vehicle, you obviously do switch the light circuits off. If you're on electrical hookup, then you need to make sure you leave the master switch on, otherwise you will kill the power supply for the fridge system. And then for layup, obviously switch everything off and then switch the master switch off when you're done. And that's your hab control panel. So next we're going to review the primary driving controls in your Elddis. So we'll start with the dashboard display. So the dial on the left is the speedometer, followed by the fuel gauge, followed by the temperature, followed by the rev counter. And then in the center, you will have your trip computer and odometer, as well as external temperature. There is a button on the end of the wiper stalk, located here, which allows you to change that information to show all various different bits of trip computer data, like so. So on the driving stalk here on the left is the lights. So you can turn the lights on like so. And there is also an automatic function for the lights located on the lower part of the stalk. And then to turn the beam on, we push the stalk towards us to turn the beam on, and then towards us again to turn the beam off. When the lights are off, this will just act as a vehicle flasher. On the opposite side, we have the wiper control stalks. Now they go down for the various different wiper modes, so intermittent, normal, high speed. And then to control the intermittent flow, you can rotate this just here to change the interval frequency of the intermittent. Wash wiper is towards you to activate the wash wiper, like so. Located in the center of the steering wheel, we have the horn, we have volume controls for the stereo, and we have some control functions for the Bluetooth located on this side here. So located on the other side, you have the cruise control system located here. Rotate it up to turn the cruise control on. You'll notice that this light will appear, and then the cruise is now on standby. So once you're at speed and you want to set the cruise control, you flick the stalk up, and that will then activate the cruise control system. Button on the end here will pause the cruise control as needed, and don't forget that the cruise control will only operate at speeds above 45 miles an hour in 5th, 4th or 6th gear. As soon as you touch the brake or the clutch pedal, the cruise control system will disengage automatically. Now the other system here is the limiter. If we rotate that to the limiter, you'll then get a different symbol appear on the dashboard located up here, which is the limiter, and then we can change the speed of the limiter by using the same control stalk. We can pick it like so. If we hold the stalk in position, it will jump in 5s, and that's it now armed. So what will happen there is when the vehicle reaches the limit speed, it will be electronically inhibited from going any faster. Now bear in mind that the speed limiter does not put the brakes on. So if you're going downhill, there is a chance that you may cruise over that speed. To disconnect the speed limiter, you can do it one of two ways. You either switch the unit off on the stalk, or you push hard enough on the throttle. There is an override switch on the throttle pedal, and that will turn off the limiter system. So moving to the middle of the dashboard, we have our heating system. So we have our airflow, or airspeed if you like, air temperature, fan positions located here, and then air circulator on, air circulator off, and then our air conditioning system located here for you. Further up, you've got the radio controls, so you can access all your different media functions and your phone functions there. So moving further up, we have our rear view mirror and camera, so that it gives us our display at the back of the van. You can go into the M function and change some of the functionality of it, so if it's too bright or not bright dark enough, you can make some wee changes just here. The V1, V2 is for different camera positions. There is only one camera on here, so this function will not work, and if you don't want the screen on, you can obviously turn it off just here. Located a little bit further across the dash, you have your cup holder, you have a 12-volt socket and one of the USB ports located there. Further down, you then have your cup holders and storage trays, and then you have lower glove box, and then you also have an upper glove box located at the top just here as well. And that is the primary driver controls. When we're parked up for the night, we're obviously going to want to make the van private, and we can do that one of two ways. There is a curtain which goes all the way around the front of the cab here, or if we want some better thermal protection, we can use the Remus blinds located on either side and on the front window. So to open the blinds, we need to squeeze this little trigger just here, and then that releases the blind from its holder, and we just gently push the blind forward into position until it locates in its forward position like so. And then we could do exactly the same with the front blinds. They pull across. This little bit just here is designed to allow the blind to go around the mirror facing like so. Okay, and they have a magnet which meets in the middle. So to retract the blind ready for driving, just again give it a squeeze, pull the blind back nice and gently, don't force the blinds, take your time and help the blinds along, and then make sure that you push this back in firmly till it clicks like so. It's worth just checking to make sure that it is located properly, because what you don't want to do is the blind's not in position and you go around a roundabout and the blind falls out like that, and that's going to block your vision out the side of the van. So do make sure that the blind has been properly retracted, clicked, give it a quick check, make sure it's all good. And that is the blinds. So that was the handover video for the Elddis 115. I hope you found it really useful, and I hope it gets you all set ready for your first adventure out in your van. Now, as I said to you earlier, I would recommend that you maybe bookmark this video, maybe save it to your device for later on. But of course, if you are out and about and you are stuck and you need some help, then please do reach out to us here at Highland Campvans. We are more than happy to help you out on your first adventure away. All that remains for me to say is have many happy miles motoring in your new motorhome, and we look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. This is David at Highland Campvans. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.